is the driver's duty status record or driver's daily log where compliance or non-compliance with the hours of service limits of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulation is recorded. Both the carrier and the driver must know what items are required on a driver's duty status record and how they are to be recorded. The carrier has the option to select a format which best suits his operation. However, the format selected must contain the following information. Number 1, the graph grid with the remarks section, which can be used either vertically or horizontally. Number 2, the date. Number 3, the total miles driving on that date. Number 4, the truck or tractor and trailer number. Number 5, the name of the carrier. Number 6, the carrier's main office address. Number 7, a place for the driver's signature for certification. Number 8, the 24-hour starting time, whether midnight, 8 a.m., noon, 4 p.m., or any other time selected by the carrier for a terminal. Number 9, name of co-driver if applicable. Number 10, total hours at the end of the grid. Number 11, shipping document numbers or name of shipper and commodity. Although no specific format for the driver's duty status is mandated by the regulations, we are using, for instructional purposes, FMCSR, Form MCS-59. In its simplest form, the driver's duty status record would be similar to Form MCS-59, containing only the graph grid and the 11 items of information that must be included on the form. Whatever format the carrier chooses, it must be large enough to read easily and must be filled out in duplicate. The duty status and additional information shall be recorded as follows. Number 1, off-duty or off, or by an identifiable code or character. Number 2, sleeper berth, or SB, or by an identifiable code or character. Number 3, driving or D, or by an identifiable code or character. And number 4, on duty not driving, or on, or by an identifiable code or character. All entries must be legible and in the driver's own handwriting. However, it is permissible to pre-print some of the other information that is required, such as the carrier's name and the main office address. Remember, the driver's duty status record is the record of the driver's daily activities and is the source of information used to determine both carrier and driver compliance or non-compliance with the hours of service regulations. Keep the log neat and current. A continuous line shall be drawn between the appropriate time markers to record the periods for off-duty, sleeper berth, driving, and on-duty not driving. Use a ruler to draw the lines on the graph grid. A neatly prepared log makes a good impression, and that can be important if a DOT inspection occurs. The graph grid is where most violations show up. A few simple rules for drivers can make the graph grid readable and understandable. Keep it current to the last change of duty status. Draw the lines in the middle of the space provided for each category, and no one can doubt the meaning. Numbers 1 through 4 on the grid display the 4-time use categories to be recorded. Your daily time must total 24 hours. If your hours do not total 24 hours, there's been a mistake. Go back and check your work. The remarks section is used to record the location of any changes in duty status and other information relating to the driver's daily activities. Since the graph grid is divided into 15-minute increments, changes in duty status of 15 minutes or more can readily be shown directly on the graph with locations, city, town, or village with state abbreviations shown in the remarks section. In the case of short stops of less than 15 minutes for such things as tire checks, there is insufficient space to accurately record such stops directly on the graph grid. Therefore, drivers are allowed to show such stops by simply drawing a line from the appropriate time marker into the remarks section and noting the location and the length of time stopped. Although it is not required, it is a good idea to indicate the reason for short stops, i.e. TC for tire check. If a change of duty status occurs at a location other than a city, town, or village, the location can be recorded in one of the following ways. Number 1, the highway number and nearest mile marker, followed by the name of the nearest city or town and the state abbreviation. Number 2, the highway number and name of the service plaza, followed by the name of the nearest city or town and the state abbreviation. And number 3, the highway numbers of the nearest 2 intersecting roadways, followed by the name of the nearest city or town and the state abbreviation. The final entries that drivers are required to make on the duty status record are the total miles driven for the day and the driver's signature certification. Your signature certifies that all entries required by the regulations are true and correct. Okay, think you understand the rules for hours of compliance for the driver's duty status record? Let's look at the graph grid for the following scenario. The grid reflects the midnight to midnight 24-hour period. In the morning, the driver clocks into the terminal at 8 a.m. He was briefed by the dispatcher, then conducted a pre-trip inspection and checked the load on the trailer. He began driving at 8:30 a.m. His route for the day was from Stafford to San Antonio with a delivery in Columbus and return. The driver made his delivery in Columbus at 10:30 a.m. He waited 30 minutes for the trailer to be unloaded and began driving again at 11 a.m. He stopped at the intersection of I-10 and Route 304 at noon for 15 minutes to check the tires and the remaining load. He arrived in San Antonio at 1 p.m. and delivered the rest of his load. It took 30 minutes to unload the trailer. The driver began driving again at 1:30 p.m. en route to Stafford. He took lunch at 2 p.m. He began driving again at 2:30 p.m. At 2:45 p.m., he noticed a large box under the I-10 overpass at Route 77. He thought this to be suspicious, so he stopped at exit 125 and called the local authorities to report the situation under the Road Watch program. The driver continued on his trip at 2:55 p.m. and arrived at the Stafford terminal at 6 p.m. He completed the required paperwork, including completing the driver's record of duty status, driver vehicle inspection report, and checked for the next day's dispatch. At 7 p.m., he went off duty. Both the carrier and the driver need to understand how to fill out the graph grid. Even if the carrier opts to use an automatic onboard recording device, the graph grid must be reconstructed if the automatic recording device malfunctions.